But before I give out any more praise or any more criticism or anything in between, why should it come from just me? You know what? I'm going to welcome my analyst to the show because he is a guy that was on that championship team in 2008, was also a member of the team in the NBA Finals when they lost to the Los Angeles Lakers. My colleague at ESPN, the big boy himself, the one and only Kendrick Perkins. What's up, big time? How are you, man? How's everything?
What's up, S.A.? What's happening? I'm tired as hell. I feel like you.
Damn
yeah,
right.
I'm glad it's over.
We both tired, and we both glad it's over. How surprised are you that it ended in 5?
I'm very surprised. I picked the Celtics to win in 7. I thought Dallas was going to give them more competition than that. But you got to give a lot of credit to the Boston Celtics, starting with the front office, starting with the medical staff, the training staff. This team was built for the long haul. You could tell since training camp, their number one goal was to win the NBA championship because it showed, right? When the Dallas Mavericks were breaking down, when Luka Doncic was hobbling up and down the floor, the athleticism stuck out like a sore thumb. And when you saw Jaylen Brown and Jayson Tatum, Drew Holiday, the game just looked faster, right? Like they played at a different pace than the Dallas Mavericks. And you talk about this starting 5, man. Even with Al Horford in that lineup, I mean, it's been the best starting 5 in basketball. And Stephen A., I'm going to say this. I was one of the ones who criticized Joe Mazzulla a lot. I didn't think his style of play could work. He coached his ass off. I didn't know that Jaylen Brown and Jayson Tatum could get it done. They played their ass off. And I also believed a while back that we would never see a back-to-back champion. I'm starting to rethink those things right now.
I got to tell you, I'm with you on the back-to-back because here's what I'm thinking. Jayson Tatum and Jaylen Brown, neither of whom are 28 years of age yet. Drew Holiday's locked in for the next 4 years. Derek White's about to get his bag. He's eligible for a 4-year, $120 to $130 million extension. Al Horford, he probably won't want to retire, even though if he does, he would have earned the right to do so after playing as long as he's played and finally capturing that elusive championship. Porzingis is going to be back with a vengeance. We don't know whether he's going to stay healthy. That's always a question mark with him. But we saw from game 1 that the brother ain't nervous. He showed up on a big stage, and if healthy enough, he can make things happen. This might have been a sweep had he not been hurt, to be quite honest with you. So we got to be honest about that. Having said all of that, right now, how are we to look at Jayson Tatum in your mind? I'll get to Jaylen Brown in a second, but Jayson Tatum, first team All-NBA. Now we're having discussions about him being in the conversation for being the top 5 player in the NBA. As Jayson Tatum would say, what we gonna say now? What are we gonna say now? What do we say about Jayson Tatum now, Kendrick Perkins?
That he's the NBA champion. That he's a top 10 player in the NBA. I'm not going to jump the gun and say a top 5, but he's a top 10 player in the league right now. It's a few guys that I still have ahead of him, to be honest with you. I mean, you know, Jokic, Giannis, Anthony Edwards. I mean, we could name some other, Steph Curry. Like, I don't have him in my top 5. I mean, and that's okay. He's a champion. He's a champion. He deserves to talk his noise. And we saw growth with Jayson Tatum. We saw the great KG always used to tell us, I always like to watch these young and upcoming superstars around the league because I want to see if they're going to be able to grow in the area of making guys around them better. He did that this postseason, showed that he could be a point forward. He took a leap in that aspect, and in the results, they're the NBA champions. He's a champion.
Let me transition to Jaylen Brown because I got to say this. I had him on my All-NBA team, 13. I don't think there's 15 players in the NBA better than Jaylen Brown when you take into account his defense and his willingness to accept those assignments. He deserves a lot of credit for that, whereas a lot of guys don't necessarily elect to do that. We know that he's been through a lot. We know that there's some shine that he feels he deserves, that he's been underappreciated. What did this finals and this ultimately capturing NBA Finals MVP, what has that done for Jaylen Brown in your estimation?
Oh, everything. And you said top 15. I'm going with top 10. The Celtics have 2 top 10 players in the NBA. Jaylen Brown made me respect the defensive side of things and respect two-way players even more, the definition of a two-way player. He got it done on both ends of the floor, S.A. He got it done on both ends of the floor. He was efficient all throughout the postseason on the offensive end. He shot the ball extremely well. Defensively, one could argue that he was the best defensive player in the postseason. What he did to Luka in the NBA Finals, and look, Luka is going to put up numbers. I get that. He has the ball in his hands. He's too special of a talent to actually stop him or shut him down. But when Jaylen Brown was guarding him, he showed him it was levels to this. Jaylen Brown had a clean sweep. Do you realize he have the Bill Russell Trophy, the Larry O'Brien Trophy, and the Larry Bird Trophy? It all resides in Jaylen Brown's house. Name me another young superstar that has those 3 trophies, and I'll wait. Until somebody catches up with him, listen, right now we have to anoint him, and it's not Jaylen underappreciated Brown no more. It's Jaylen appreciated Brown. Damn it, he's a top 10 player in the league.
I have to look and transition to the Dallas Mavericks and ask the question, why did they lose this series? The answer that I come up with, there's a multitude of reasons why. Jaylen Brown's defense, no question about it. Boston's collective defense, we can't ignore that. I'm going to go to Kyrie Irving. And I'm not trying to point all the blame to him. Kyrie has had a sensational year. Kyrie deserves all the praise that he's received. We all know that we've been praising him for the longest time this year because he really, really made up for a lot of stuff that he had gone through in the past and really, really righted a lot of wrongs and was moving forward. But this ain't about us being critical of Kyrie. This is about us pointing out how clearly Kyrie hasn't gotten over being critical about himself. I believe Kyrie Irving was rattled in every game he played in Boston. Not Dallas. He was an all-world player. But in the city of Boston, at TD Garden, where he once played, where he once wore that Boston Celtics uniform, they clearly did not like him. They were chanting, "Kyrie sucks." Every chance they got, they were booing him profusely. He was clearly affected by it, whether it was tight 1 minute, over anxious the next. The bottom line is he ended up averaging 14.3 points on 34% shooting and 18% from three-point range in the 3 games that he played in Boston. Now that Kyrie has lost his 4th final in 5 appearances, what are we to say about Kyrie Irving and how are we to look at him in light of this performance specifically in Boston?
Well, I'm going to say this. It's a prime example when your leader needs a leader, right? And it's another prime example why veterans matter. We got to remember this, S.A. During this run to the NBA Finals for the Dallas Mavericks, Kyrie Irving has been the leader on that team. Now, all of a sudden, you go into Boston, and no matter how much you try to downplay it, or Kyrie try to downplay it, or he try to address the problem and try to get his mentality together, he needed a shoulder to lean on. And that shoulder wasn't Jason Kidd or Jared Dudley or any of the assistant coaches. He needed another veteran on that team that he could go to, another veteran on that team that could put a key in his back. I thought he was phenomenal in Game 3 and Game 4. Make no mistake about it. But Kyrie, in my eyes, is still one of the most skilled players to ever touch the damn basketball. That hasn't changed. But what he's done, I think what the Celtics did to him, okay, just think he's going against all-world defenders. Drew Holiday and Derek White, and Jaylen Brown, 3 of the most elite defenders, perimeter defenders in the game. Kyrie Irving, what he has done for the Dallas Mavericks this year and played a role, I know they fell short, but I think at this moment, I got to give him his flowers. He has completely closed the old chapter of his book, and the new chapter is looking really, really strong right now and really great for him. That's just me. I just feel it.
I have to disagree with you only on this sense, Perk. He is the one that is clearly holding on to it now. The rest of us have moved past it. You know, because we see him, we see how he's blossomed. We're going to give him love. He hasn't let it go because he was a completely different player in Boston than he ever was in Dallas. He goes to Dallas, he looks all world, averaging 28 a game, 50% from the field, 42% from three-point range. The brother goes to Boston and all of a sudden can't handle the heat. They're treating him like a Benedict Arnold, and it's almost like he's like, yeah, it's a lot to get over. That's how he came across.
Yeah, and he forgot to play, and he forgot that it's just basketball. But again, you gotta look. You have to give a lot of credit again to the Boston fan base and to the Boston Celtics because they backed up their fan base, right? If you don't think for 1 second that Jaylen Brown and Jayson Tatum didn't have it in the back of their mind that Kyrie Irving left them and that they wanted to shut him down and beat him in the NBA Finals, people, you're crazy and I'm crazy. Look, they had it on their mind. Let me say this to you, S.A. Tell me how you feel about this.
Sure.
Luka.
That's
in
where
his
I was
6
going.
years.
That's where I was going.
I want to ask you, though. I want to be a co-host in Stephen A. Smith show today. I want to ask you. So here's how I feel real quick, and I want to get your thoughts on it. Luka, out of his 6 years, 5 of those years, first team All-NBA, been to a conference finals, right, 2 seasons ago, I believe it was, with Jaylen Brunson. This year, go to the NBA Finals. Does he start to get the Jayson Tatum treatment that we gave Jayson Tatum in 2022? Nothing else matters no more until he delivers a championship and complete the mission? I'm just asking.
You can make that argument, but it's actually something worse than that, Perk. Worse. We don't even get to ask him that first. You know what the first question we gonna ask Luka?
What's that?
How committed are you gonna be? You gonna get in shape? Think about that. When have we ain't never questioned Jayson Tatum's conditioning. We ain't questioned LeBron's conditioning. Hell, we ain't questioned KD's conditioning. We ain't questioned Steph Curry's conditioning. We ain't questioned Kobe's conditioning. We ain't questioned conditioning of any of the great ones, okay? Listen, the last time we talked about anybody's conditioning, it was with Shaq, and that was only because Kobe was going off about the shit. At the end of the day, Shaq comes out there, and he's like, I ain't worried about the Sacramento Queens, and then went out there and showed them there's a difference between kings and queens, and they ain't ready. And that's how he treated them. So we can't even get on Shaq about that. The point that I'm making is with Luka, knowing you going up against Tatum, knowing you going up against Jaylen Brown, knowing those horses in the Western Conference that you did get through, one could easily argue that Luka's conditioning served as an impediment because he wanted to play at one pace. And this is what I said the other day. I said this today on my day job, First Take. Every weekday morning, 10 a.m. to 12 noon on ESPN. I said that this morning, Big Perk. I said, who's the ideal teammate for Kyrie Irving? I'm sorry, I said, think about it in terms of somebody that's Kyrie Irving with what Kyrie Irving was going through in Boston. Let me tell you the names I gave the audience. KG, number 1. I said that mouth on KG would have been on the court, on the parquet floor if he was an opponent of Boston and would have been telling them, bump them. Hell with them, they kiss your ass. What the hell you doing? He would have been in his face like, suck it up, let's go. He'd have got on Kyrie. Kyrie would have responded to that, right? Another person that would have been an ideal teammate was Kobe, because Kobe would have done the same thing. And another person who would have been an ideal teammate, but for an entirely different reason, is his old running mate he won the title with, LeBron. Because unlike Luka, LeBron can play whatever pace you want. You want to slow it down? LeBron got that. You want to speed it up, play up-tempo? LeBron got that. You understand? LeBron could do it, whereas Luka only wanted to play at one pace because he doesn't have the conditioning to keep up with the pace that Kyrie could flourish at, etc. What are your thoughts about what I just said?
No, I'm with you 1,000%. Everything you said is 100% accurate. And I think that's going to be the growth for not only Luka, but the entire Dallas Maverick team. They're going to have to hit the player development. Luka is going to have to take that next step in his cardio. We saw Jokic do it, right? We saw Jokic come back in phenomenal shape, start the training camp the year that they wanted. And you know what Jokic did? He sustained that throughout the season, right? He made sure he kept the main thing the main thing. We joked around, and they had it circulating the video when Mike Finley took the beer out of Luka's hand, but that's another sacrifice. You know, Luka, okay, if that was on camera, what are you doing behind closed doors? If you're trying to be the best, if you're trying to win the NBA championship, it's going to have to start with your conditioning. At the end of the day, look, Luka's first team all whack body, okay? I have a whack body. Jokic have a whack body. Paul Pierce had a whack body. You know what a whack body is? It's you could be in shape. You're not gonna get a 6-pack. You probably get a 4, but the bottom is still gonna have a little pudge, and that's okay. You're in great shape. All right, you're in great shape. But here's the thing I was thinking about. Okay, if the Dallas Mavericks want to make another run at it next year, we know teams are gonna get better in the offseason. You know who I'm looking at? I want to get your energy because I've been missing you the last couple of days on First Take. But I want to get your energy on that.
Okay.
All right, Tim Hardaway Jr., they can find a way to move his money.
That's right.
Okay, he making about 18, 19 million.
Right.
You package up him and somebody else. Can they go out and get Klay Thompson? Can you go get Klay Thompson?
Okay. Here's the problem with that. If I'm Klay Thompson, that's not where I want to go.
Why?
Because Luka's too ball dominant. See, Klay Thompson is used to catching and shooting. As exceptional of a passer as Luka is, remember, Klay Thompson still plays at a higher pace. And so that's problematic because Luka's going to look for his shot. Kyrie's going to look for his shot. Klay Thompson's your number 2 option, okay? He's not used to being less than that. And if he's going to be less than that, he can stomach it if the pace of play gives you more bites at the apple because you're jacking up more opportunities because you're playing at a faster pace. At the pace that Luka's going to play with, because you know the ball's going to be in his hands the majority of the time, I don't think there's room for Klay. I think the ideal place for Klay Thompson is the New York Knicks or the Philadelphia 76ers. I would say the Los Angeles Lakers, but they don't have a snowball's chance in getting them.
No, I'm with you on that, but here's the thing. I understand, and that's a great point you brought up about pace, but how much do you trust J. Kidd? I trust him a lot. You don't think that he could make Luka get up off the peel? Look, P.J. Washington had a lot of shot attempts.
Right.
You know what I mean? In that NBA Finals. I'm thinking to myself, if that's Klay Thompson, that his mentality is right, because we know this past season, Klay dealt with a lot of ups and downs with the organization and all this. Like, we know this.
Still shot 42% from 3 for the second half of the season.
That's what I'm saying. But we know if your mind is not right, you can't be the basketball player you want to be. I'm saying those shots P.J. Washington was missing in the NBA Finals, and P.J. Washington balled out. I'm not saying they need to get rid of him, but you add Klay Thompson to the mix, I'm okay with that with the Dallas Mavericks if they make some moves. But look, what they got in that kid, Derek Lively, I'm telling you right now, hey, the sky's the limit for that young man as well.
Well, let me ask you this, Perk. Is that your way of saying you don't believe that Dallas missed an opportunity? Because the West is packed. Who's to say Dallas is going to get back anytime soon?
I wouldn't pick them. I'm not picking them to come out of the West next year because it's going to be too hard, man. Like, I could see it the following season. I don't see it this season. I believe Minnesota, Anthony Edwards is going to be back. We can't forget about what Ime Udoka is doing down there with the Houston Rockets. You talked about this as well. And then Ja Morant with the Memphis Grizzlies. He's going to come back with it on his mind as well. So teams are going to get better. The Denver Nuggets are going to clean up areas, right? They're going to make sure that they clean up their bench and get better in their roster moves because obviously they was missing Bruce Brown and Jeff Green. Right. I believe if they had Bruce Brown, they would have beat the Minnesota Timberwolves. If they had
Jeff Green and Bruce Brown, they beat the Minnesota Timberwolves.
Absolutely.
I agree with that.
So I'm just saying, I don't have Dallas going back to the finals next year. You can't never count Luka and Kyrie out, but I think they missed out on the opportunity. That's why when you get to the NBA Finals, it's hard as hell to get there, but when you get there, you got to make sure you capitalize. The Celtics knew that from 2022, and all I kept hearing Jayson Tatum say is, I remember what happened in 2022. It's not about to happen this year. And him and Jaylen Brown stood on that.
Who's the stiffest competition in the East to the Boston Celtics right now?
Oh, come on now. We know who that is. It's the New York Knicks. Healthy. You get OG Anunoby back, even with Julius Randle. Okay, if they don't decide to move Julius Randle, name me a team that's better than the New York Knicks right now. I'm not taking the Bucks over them. I don't know what the Philadelphia 76ers are going to do. I don't know. They may go out, they may swing big for the fences and try to get Paul George. That's neither here or there. But currently constructed, The Boston Celtics are number 1, bless you. And damn it, it's the New York Knicks that are number 2.
Who?
Now, I hear they have,
I was getting ready to ask you, if you're the New York Knicks, you're a New York Knicks fan, you know a few of them. Who's the best fit? Is it Klay Thompson or is it Paul George?
Man, you know what? It's hard because you don't want to take away what the Nova boys are bringing to the table.
Right.
See, I feel like if you add a Klay Thompson, if you add a Klay Thompson or you add a Paul George, you're gonna take away from Dante. I strongly believe that. So I think, man, to be honest with you, I see, you know what they say? I run it back with Julius Randle. I really do. I think KG told you this shit.
Yes,
I run it back with
I
run it back with Julius Randle because here's the thing. When you're on the sideline and you're injured, you watch your team have success without you because the Knicks had a successful season.
Right.
I don't give a damn what nobody
says. Yes, they did.
The being on the sideline and being injured and watching your team perform, that's the greatest teacher of them all. Right? Because it's like, oh, dang, okay, I see that style. Okay, so now I'm learning the game. Julius is learning, like, okay, maybe if I sacrifice a little bit more, we could go small ball. I could be at the 5 and mix it up a little bit. Like, those are the things. I just want to see Julius come back, and I want to see how they look together with OG, Jalen Brunson, Josh Hart, Dante, and Julius, and along with, I don't know what's gonna happen with Isaiah Hartenstein because somebody might offer him a bag, but that's okay because the Knicks are eye candy. But at the end of the day, the Celtics are the number 1 team. The Bucks got some things they got to figure out. I don't know what they want to do with Chris Middleton. I don't know if you bring him back because he looks old.
He does.
He looks old.
He looks old, and guess what? More weight being put on Damian Lillard's shoulder to help Giannis is not the greatest thing in the world. And in my opinion, if things don't work out for Milwaukee this year, I think Giannis is going to want out of Milwaukee. That's just my personal opinion. No inside information or anything like that. That's just how I'm feeling. But I'll get to that another day. I'll tell you this about Paul George compared to Klay Thompson. If I want a shooter, I want Klay Thompson. If I want a defender who can give me some offense, it's obviously Paul George, which would give the Knicks the edge with Paul George. Remember, the Knicks got 11 first-round picks over the next 7 years. So you got assets to move to Golden State if indeed you really want to make that happen. Or the Clippers. For me, though, is this. Paul George usually has to dribble to get his groove. And I already got Brunson doing that. So it takes away to some degree from Brunson. I don't think Klay takes anything away from Brunson.
I agree.
And not only that, you could play him with DiVincenzo because Klay can be a 3 for you when need be. It would sacrifice some of Josh Hart's minutes, but that would save Josh Hart, give Josh Hart less time, but more energy when he's playing to come in there and be that defensive wizard and that energizer bunny that you need. Because even though Josh Hart hits threes, he's not a sniper like Klay Thompson and Dante DiVincenzo.
I'm with you on that. And everything you said, I agree. You know who's going to be the most important player for the Knicks and for them to have success next year? It's going to be Mitchell Robinson.
Yeah, health.
Now, his health, and he got to get his big ass in some shape.
That's right.
I believe that he needs to drop about 30 pounds. If he drops 30 pounds, look, man, I'm telling you, look out. He could possibly go for Defensive Player of the Year if he dropped 30 pounds.
Before I let you get on out of here, let's go back out west to the Los Angeles Lakers. Our colleague at ESPN, JJ Redick, is emerging as a top candidate for that job. You know I've been in the news because obviously I spoke out against the Mind Your Game podcast. It wasn't against JJ Redick. It wasn't even against LeBron James and the podcast. It was the timing of the damn thing, Perk. You had the podcast. When it first came out, I was happy about it, was happy for them, thought we would all learn a lot about the game of basketball, listening to JJ and LeBron, and I still stand by that. But then you got coaches that have called. You've got other people that have lamented the fact, damn it, you knew Darvin Ham was on the hot seat. Why would you pick that time to have this damn podcast? And now, lo and behold, here JJ Redick is, the guy you doing the podcast with, as the primary candidate for the Lakers job. Hell, what are we supposed to think, Stephen A? That's what they're saying. What do you say, Kendrick Perkins?
Well, one, we already knew that JJ Redick was getting that damn job. They was just waiting for the NBA.
He doesn't have it yet. It's not official yet. We'll see.
Yeah,
go ahead.
Yeah, but he's the front runner, and now the news is starting to circulate again right after the NBA Finals, okay? Which I already heard what was going to happen anyway before even the Dan Hurley news dropped. Here's the thing that I got to say, right? I think JJ Redick knows his shit. I really, really do. He is a brilliant basketball mind.
He is.
But the one thing that I have a concern with, and I told JJ this to his face, we had a conversation. I said he's going to have to adjust that arrogant ass Duke attitude. He's going to have to adjust
Did you tell him that?
I told him that.
I'm quoting. You said that arrogant ass Duke attitude to him?
Yeah. And he laughed and we laughed it off. But I was serious because think about this. The two coaches that was coaching in the NBA Finals were who? A young Joe Mazzulla, 35 years old, and a Jayson kid. X's and O's is one thing, but going in that locker room and speaking that language and getting the ears and the attention of those players is a whole nother thing. Mm-hmm. And that's what I think the adjustment of JJ Redick is going to have to be. Am I a bit disappointed that the Lakers didn't give a fair shots or more interviews to other coaches like a Phil Handy,
like a
Sam Cassell that just won the NBA
or Mark
championship?
Jackson.
Right, I am. But at the end of the day, we know what was going on, and that's probably why I got unfollowed because on social media.
When LeBron, you're talking about when LeBron unfollowed you because you got on him for always trying to insert himself into the narrative, and he unfollowed you, and then you tweeted out and you said some people didn't follow Jesus. You know what I'm saying? It's gonna be all right.
I'll be okay.
Has he spoken? Has LeBron spoken to you since?
No, he hasn't.
Has his team spoken to you? Has his team spoken to you?
You know, Rich Paul reached out.
Right.
You know that.
Right.
You know that.
Right.
You know that. And look, to be honest, S.A., it's no beef whatsoever. Here's the thing. I'm gonna tell you this, and as we wrapping up the season, man, look. I appreciate everything that you have done for me, real talk, and this real shit coming from my heart. Everything that you have done for me as a mentor, as a big brother in this media space, and you know how much I bust my ass to be here. Yeah. And you also know that when you're a Hall of Fame player, a franchise guy that retires, you know, networks, not just here, but other networks, they roll a red carpet out for guys to come in into this space.
Right.
I had to work my ass off to get to the point where I'm at today, and I still got more work to do. And what people don't realize is this job is just not a hobby for me. I take this shit serious. I approach this as my next chapter in my life. I close the basketball chapter in my life. When I go up on First Take, I don't even want the sidebar or the graphic of showing Kendrick Perkins, 2008 NBA champion, 14-year vet. No. I just want to be known as Kendrick Perkins, NBA analyst. This is the next chapter. I'm trying to be great at that. And in order for me to do that, you know, I got to do my job. And sometimes if it ruffles some feathers or it may cause some, you know, people to get in their feelings, so be it. Because if it does, then, and we're talking about the game of basketball, right, then you really not in my corner anyway. Look, I'm going to do my damn job. I appreciate you, S.A., and I'm going to keep going.
I always tell you that. We don't have Thanksgiving. We ain't having Thanksgiving dinner with them. We ain't exchanging no damn Christmas gifts. As long as you are fair and you ain't getting personal, fuck it. If they're going to have an attitude, they're going to have an attitude. You get over it. Life goes on. Having said all of that, I think that when we look forward to what the culture has been like, switching back to the court, here's what I love about Boston. Even though I picked the Mavs because I thought Porzingis wouldn't play at all, and I couldn't believe he played and stuff like that. But props to the Boston Celtics. I'm really happy for Jayson Tatum and Jaylen Brown because I got love for both of them. I got to tell you this. What they've done by winning the championship last night, I believe is the death of the big three. We ain't gonna hear about that no more. Because now they showed you all you need is a big two and the right parts around them in order to win championships. Bump all that big three nonsense anymore. I think KD, Beal, and Booker getting swept the same year that a big two in Boston won the championship, it's put the death to the big three. To that you say what?
I'm with you. But look, it started from last NBA championship with Jokic and Murray. It was just a follow-up and the nail in the coffin and the burial with the flowers over it with them singing the gospel music what Jaylen Brown and Jayson Tatum did to it.
Right.
That's all it was. The big threes are over with. Get you 2 1As or whatever however you want to call it, and go out there and do your homework and put the pieces around them. Much credit to Brad Stevens with Grospect. They did that. I know we got to go SA, but let me say this. Do you realize what it took for Brad Stevens and Wick Grospect to make the move of trading Marcus Smart?
Yeah. And I feel bad for Marcus Smart too, because I almost want him to have a ring because of what he's meant to the Boston Celtics. But you do understand that Porzingis did make them better. And of course, Drew Holiday.
Absolutely.
And by the way, Missoula, listen, I'm an Ime Udoka fan. And I believe that if Ime Udoka was the coach of the Boston Celtics, they'd have did what they did last night. They might have did it last year. I feel that way, but I can't take nothing away from Missoula. He has proven to be a hell of a coach. He's got to get his flowers, his props, because he showed up. He really did.
I agree 1,000%. You know, Sam Cassell told me the other day that Joe Missoula, he said, Perk. You know how he talk. Yeah. He knows his shit. He's one of the most brilliant basketball minds I ever been around. I'm telling you, that MF, he's something else.
That's not a bad Sam Cassell invitation. That's not a bad one. That's how he is. But he's telling the truth. Sam Cassell ain't no damn liar. He ain't no damn liar. He's not. I'm proud of you, my brother. You did a great job this year covering the NBA. You deserve your rest. I'm gonna invite you, down. I ain't gonna tell everybody. I ain't gonna tell everybody where I'm at, but I'm gonna invite you down to the crib for the buffet. I got my sister Carmen. She already got the buffet set for you. Appreciate you, big boy. Thanks a lot, man.
Appreciate you, SA. Love you, brother.
Same here, my man. Same here. One and only Kendrick Perkins hanging out with your boy Stephen A. right here on the Stephen A. Smith Show.